before we end today's show, I think that's a good segment to end on before we, add some new segments into the 2019's era, which we're going to line up some zombie apocalypse stuff, some really fun stuff for everybody. But me and James kind of talked, 55 minutes here for everybody, so that's usually the length of the show. So let's end it on this great segment here. James, for you and for me, who's the number one fighter, guy and girl, that stood out in your head this year?
There's so many that have come through. There's so many that have done some amazing things. I think for me, it's probably Khabib, who stepped up. He obviously beat Conor. He's just, of course, what he did after the Conor fight. But the fact of the matter is, he beat the guy that on paper was unbeatable. I forget. I'm going to put it behind me. Okay, it's what he did after the fight. His performance that night, I think, was fantastic. As an athlete, he did extremely good. Who's yours?
Honestly, in my mind, it's Max Holloway. What he's been able to accomplish, starting off in the UFC, losing his first couple of fights on contract, being able to come back and really refocus what he's aiming after. The only other guy that he's lost to has been Conor McGregor, and there's really no one else for him to fight at the featherweight division. What he was able to accomplish against T-City, and T-City, man, for people out there that are giving him trash, there's no reason for him to doubt himself. He definitely gave the UFC what they wanted in a contender for the championship title. Somebody who immediately, if they grab your neck, the entire crowd's going to go, like, hold your breath for a second. He took out people like Cub Swanson. He took out people like Frankie Edgar. Not Frankie Edgar. The first time in his entire career out, he deserved that shot at the title. And for Max Holloway to go in there and put the clinic on that he put, I think he deserves the number one male fighter. For females, the number one fighter that sticks out, if it's not Rose Namajunas, it's got to be my girl Valentina Shevchenko, what she's been able to accomplish, and her sister as well. I've watched her sister for years in the Muay Thai scene. I've interviewed both these girls, and Valentina told me in 2017 that she would be the champion by the year 2019, and here she is. She does it. She achieves a dream, and that's something we look up to here in the MMA scene.
It's the same. I was going to go with Shevchenko as well because, of course, I had the fortunate pleasure of also training and teaching with her at Tiger Muay Thai as well. She used to do her camps at Tiger. She used to bring her coach with her, and she was always a very respectful. I knew her basically from the kickboxing world, the Thai boxing world back then.
Coach Pavel, a friend of mine, right? Coach Pavel.
That's right, yeah. She had fought an old friend of mine, Kaylee Rees, in Thai boxing, and Kaylee is a super beast, and she beat Kaylee. She just shown all the attributes of just being a true dedicated fighter. She traveled all over the world with the best, trained with the best, and just, she just didn't have the typical. She had a ton of self-belief, but she didn't have, the ego wasn't there. It was like she didn't have any ego. She was always willing to ask a question, and she wasn't scared of it. And she would just dedicate herself into what she was doing. And she had said the same thing. She was going into MMA and she was going to take over. And to be honest, the way she said it to me, it wasn't your normal. It wasn't your normal fighter. I kind of touched base on it earlier. Like, I've had fighters come to my gym and say, "Oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that." But the way they say it, you're like, you're not trying to convince me. You're actually trying to convince yourself a little bit, right? Like, you just want to talk big. You're not actually believing it. You're just actually just saying it because you want to talk, because you know it's never going to happen. But the way she said it to me was calm, quiet, and 100% she was going to do what she said she was going to do. It was absolutely to the point. And she's done it. So you know what? That stands for me. Like, if someone said they're going to do something and they do it to that level, to a T. You're talking 3 years prior to her doing what she's doing right now. That's what she was going to do. So she'd been planning this takeover in the UFC for many, many, many years. And she dedicated all of her funds, all of her time to achieving it. And now she's achieved it. And her sister's on the same path. So that goes to tell you something about the mental attribute of that family. And I just take my hat off to her. I think she's a super